Good day, students. This is Afia Demola Johnson, your biology tutor. I'll be teaching SS3 biology. And before we go, let us pray. Father, we thank you. We bless you for today again. Thank you for how far you have helped us. Thank you for how much you are still going to help us. Accept our praises in Jesus' name. We want to see you, Father. Speak to us yourself, O Lord, and take all the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now, like I said, I'll be teaching SS3 students biology, and the topic here is hormones. And I have a subtopic here. That is thyroid and parathyroid gland and some other glands different from the pituitary gland. Don't forget, in the last class we have been talking about hormones. We have defined hormones and we stated the various parts of the body where you have ductless endocrine glands that produce hormones, talking about the pituitary gland in the head, the thyroid parathyroid gland in the neck, the adrenal gland and the pancreas and the upper abdominal cavity and the gonads. Don't forget, in the last class we talked about the pituitary gland, why it is called a master gland, and some of the hormones it secretes at the upper abdominal cavity. To remind you, you have adrenocorticotrophic hormone, you have gonadotrophic hormone, which include the follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, you have prolactin, you have thyroid stimulating hormone, you have somatotrophin, or you call it growth hormone. 5 hormones that I told you that the posterior pituitary gland does not secrete hormone on its own, but it stores 2 hormones secreted by the hypothalamus, and you have oxytocin and you have antidiuretic hormone. We have talked about that in the last class. Today we want to look at the ductless endocrine glands in the neck. In the neck, you have the thyroid gland, what people call Adam's apple. It's in your throat. I'm still going to show you a picture of it. Now, the thyroid gland secretes some hormones. Then on the surface of the thyroid gland, you have parathyroid gland. So, and this the activity of this thyroid gland is stimulated by thyroid stimulating hormone secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. Let us look at how thyroid gland and parathyroid gland are positioned in the body. Then this is your throat. Then this is the one people call Adam's apple, this U-shaped structure. Then it is attached, in your throat. The pipe there are 2 pipes in your throat. There is a place where food passes, there is a place where air passes, that leads to your lungs. The one in the front air is the one where air passes, and is divided into 2 parts. You have the upper part. The upper part is called larynx. It's larynx. While the lower part is called trachea. The trachea. Then the thyroid gland is attached to the surface of the larynx in the neck region. You can see here. So that is that. Then if you turn to the other side, then at the back, you have 4, all this 1, 2, 3, 4. They are called parathyroid gland. Para means around. That is glands that are around the surface of thyroid gland. That is parathyroid. 4 of them. Now let us look at the hormones of the thyroid gland and the parathyroid gland. The thyroid gland secretes these 3 hormones. The first one is called thyroxine. Thyroxine is also known as tetraiodothyronine. Then the second one is triiodothyronine, and the third one is calcitonin. Tetra means 4. So now, thyroxine has 4 atoms of iodine in its molecular structure. It contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and 4 atoms of iodine. So triiodothyronine is okay. So when you take food that contains iodine, this iodine adds to the 3 iodine in its molecule of triiodothyronine, then it forms tetraiodothyronine, which is thyroxine. Then parathyroid gland, each of them secretes 1 hormone, and that hormone is called parathyroid hormone. Sometimes we call it parathormone. Now let us look at let's focus on thyroxine. Thyroxine is usually secreted in children at tender age, at infants, through adolescent, and the secretion of thyroxine stops at adult stage. Now what does the thyroxine does? It works pari passu with the growth hormone, the somatotrophin that is released from the anterior pituitary gland to bring about growth. But in its own case, it brings about growth by aiding body basal metabolism, and therefore making the body cells and tissues to increase in size. Then we can grow. So now in infants, you see growth continues because thyroxine secretion will still continue. So now that is that. Let's look at abnormality due to the secretion of thyroxine. When we say abnormality, when thyroxine is not secreted normally, it is too much, it is excessively secreted, or it is under-secreted. So we have effect of over-secretion and effect of under-secretion. Let us look at the effect of under-secretion of thyroxine. Now, effect of under-secretion of thyroxine. Now, thyroxine can be under-secreted before a child gets mature, and it can be under-secreted after a child gets mature. It can be under-secreted before maturity, and it can be under-secreted after maturity. So let us look at the effect of under-secretion before maturity. Now, before a child gets mature, when thyroxine is under-secreted, the child suffers from a condition called cretinism. Now, cretinism. Somebody suffering from cretinism is called a cretin. A cretin is dwarfish in size, but sexually and mentally immature. You know, there is a difference between a dwarf. Don't forget, dwarfism is caused as a result of under-secretion of growth hormone.
Alright, now I was talking about the effect of under-secretion of thyroxine. Don't forget I said that thyroxine can be under-secreted before maturity and it can be under-secreted after maturity. Now we are looking at the effect of under-secretion before a child gets mature. Before a child gets mature, if there is under-secretion of thyroxine, there will be a condition called cretinism. And somebody suffering from that cretinism is a cretin. A cretin is dwarfish in size, somebody that is younger than his age. But the difference between a cretin and a dwarf is that a dwarf is sexually and mentally mature, but a cretin is sexually and mentally immature. Somebody of 40-something years will be behaving and look like a 5-year-old boy or a girl. So that is cretinism. Then let's look at the remedy to cretinism. How do you cure it? The remedy to cretinism is to first of all discover it earlier. And when it is discovered earlier, there are two things you can do. You can take thyroxine supplement in form of drug orally through your mouth, and you can take seafood, food like fishes killed in the sea, because the sea contains iodine. Don't forget, iodine deficiency is what leads to decrease in the release of in the secretion of thyroxine that leads to cretinism. Now let us look at the effect of under-secretion of thyroxine. The effect of under-secretion of thyroxine after the child gets mature. After maturity, there is under-secretion of thyroxine. You either suffer from this myxoedema or hyperplastic goiter. Let us look at myxoedema. Somebody that is myxoedemic is somebody that is sluggishly fat and with relatively low body temperature. Sluggishly fat. If the person falls, he cannot stand up. He is too fat. That is myxoedema. The body temperature will become low. Why? Because thyroxine brings about basal metabolism, and anytime metabolism takes place, heat is released. But now what is bringing about metabolic process that is releasing heat now is now cut short, so that the low body temperature and the person is relatively too fat. Then what are the remedies? The same thing you do to solve the problem of cretinism, you can do to solve the problem of myxoedema. First, by taking thyroxine supplement orally or by taking seafoods. Let's go and look at hyperplastic goiter. Now, hyperplastic goiter is a swelling in the front part of the neck. But there are two types of goiter. The first one is called hyperplastic goiter. The second one is called exophthalmic goiter. The hyperplastic goiter is what happens when there is under-secretion of thyroxine after maturity. But the other one, exophthalmic goiter, is a type of goiter. That one is caused due to over-secretion of thyroxine. When we get there, we talk about it. Now, so hyperplastic goiter happens when the thyroid gland in the neck swells up. When it swells, that is inflammation of the hyperplastic goiter. Take a look at the picture of someone suffering from hyperplastic goiter. Look at this woman. Look at this. If you can see traces of the thyroid gland swelling, if the person talks, the goiter swells up. So this is hyperplastic goiter. Now let us look at a the effect of the remedy. The same way you treat cretinism and microedema, you can treat this by taking tyrosine supplement orally and by taking seafoods. So now let us look at the effect of oversecretion of thyroxine. Now when there is oversecretion of thyroxine, it is usually due to accumulation of the blood with too much of iodine. And when this happen, the thyroid gland in the neck continue to release thyroxine, and that thyroxine they now begin to accumulate in the neck. The first one, hyperplastic, is due to swelling of thyroid gland. Exothermic is due to accumulation of thyroxine in the neck. So that is exothermic goiter. Let us look at the picture of a man with exothermic goiter. You can see it here. This one, if you press it, it is softer than that one, because it is due to accumulation of thyroxine. Then how do you cure it? How do you solve it? Let's look at another slide. How do you solve it? You cannot treat exothermic goiter the same way you treat hyperplastic, else you'll be causing more problem, because hyperplastic is caused due to undersecretion of thyroxine, but this one is due to oversecretion. So if you say you want to take iodine or seafood, you are increasing more iodine and the case is becoming worsened. So the two way of doing it is by surgically cutting the surface. When you go to the hospital, they conduct a surgical operation. They use knife to cut the neck and extract excess accumulated thyroxine in the neck. Then another thing they can do is that they can expose the affected thyroid gland to radioactive source, so that excess of it will be drained. Now let's move on. Now we are going to calcitonin and parathyroid hormone. Don't forget, the thyroid gland release 3 hormones. The first one is called thyroxine, the second one is called triiodothyronine, the third one is called calcitonin. And don't forget that parathyroid gland on the surface of the thyroid gland, they secrete one hormone called parathyroid hormone. Calcitonin is secreted by thyroid gland and parathyroid hormone. The two of them work together to bring about regulation of the blood calcium and phosphorus level. They make sure that the calcium level of the blood is not too much. The blood level of calcium and phosphorus level is not too low. When it is down, and they do this antagonistically. Now calcitonin decreases the amount of blood calcium level when need be, while parathormone increases the amount of blood calcium and phosphorus level when need be. Now how will calcitonin do this one? Let us look at the action of calcitonin to bring about decrease in the blood calcium level. There are two things it does. Number one, it prevents the absorption of calcium from the alimentary canal into the bloodstream. So when you eat food that contains calcium like bone, when you eat it, the way you eat it is the way you are going to go and excrete it. The calcium will not leave the intestine and go to the blood, so then it reduces the amount of blood calcium level. Another thing calcitonin does to reduce the blood calcium level and phosphorus level is that it brings it makes excess blood calcium to be directed to the kidney, so that the kidney will mix them with urine and pass them out of the body. So that is calcitonin. Now let's look at the effect of parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone reverses the activity of calcitonin. Number one, it increases the amount of blood calcium and phosphorus level in two ways. Number one, it brings about increase in the absorption of calcium from the alimentary canal into the bloodstream. So when you take calcium, when you take food that contains calcium, so the rate at which it will be transported from the intestine to the blood, and from the blood to be transported around the bloodstream now will be high. Then another thing it does to increase the amount of blood calcium is that it prevents the excretion of calcium and phosphorus blood by the kidney. So we are through with that. We are now going to the ductless endocrine glands in the upper abdominal cavity. In the upper abdominal cavity, the two ductless endocrine glands we have there, we have the pancreas and we have the adrenal gland. So let us talk about the pancreas. Now the pancreas, now there is usually one question they say, which of the following is a dual organ? Explain why pancreas is referred to as a dual organ. In sciences, dual means two. Calcium performs two functions. It releases enzymes, digestive enzymes, and it releases hormones. If you look at the body of pancreas, look like a leaf. I will show you the picture, a leaf on which we have some veins. Those veins are called pancreatic ducts. So pancreas is a duct gland in terms of enzymes release, because the enzymes that it produces now will pass through pancreatic duct to their target organ, which is duodenum. But it is also a ductless gland, because inside of it releases hormones, and those hormones are mixed with blood. There is no duct that will conduct them to their target organs. So because pancreas is a duct gland to enzymes and ductless glands to hormone, it is called a dual organ. I've seen some textbooks, they misquoted this. They said it is both exocrine and endocrine. No, it is not, because it is an endocrine, it is not exocrine, but it is duct gland and ductless gland. Now, so that is why pancreas is a dual organ. Now let's look at the picture of the pancreas. This is a pancreas. Now, as a ductless gland, look at the surface, look at this pipe. When it releases enzymes like enterokinase, like erepsin, like lipase, like stipsin, they pass through these pancreatic ducts and they go to the duodenum. This is the duodenum. They go to the duodenum. Now, these are the pancreatic ducts. You can see it here. So these ducts make pancreas called a duct gland. But look at the inside of the pancreas. Now, the inside of the pancreas has some specialized cells. We have the alpha cells, the beta cells, the gamma cells, and there is a particular region of the internal part of the pancreas where hormones are secreted. That is called islet of Langerhans. This islet of Langerhans secretes two hormones, and these two hormones are insulin and glucagon. These two hormones regulate the amount of blood sugar antagonistically. Let us look at the effect of insulin. Insulin, what it does is that it reduces the amount of blood sugar. While glucagon increases the amount of blood sugar. Insulin does this in two ways. Number one, it reduces the amount of blood sugar by allowing excess blood sugar to be absorbed by neighboring cells. Neighboring body cells will just absorb them. Then another thing it does is that it converts excess sugar into glycogen. Sugars are either monosaccharides or disaccharides. Then glycogen is a polysaccharide. So it converts them to glycogen and store this glycogen in the liver and in the muscle cell. Then what is the effect of the action of glucagon? Glucagon opposes the action of insulin by increasing the amount of sugar when need be. What need? Sometimes when somebody is at the state of coma, or sometimes when you are fasting, you will discover that when you are fasting, when it gets to the time you're supposed to take your breakfast, that hunger will come. But if you are busy doing something that is profitable, that you like doing, you discover that hunger quenches. What happens is that glucagon discovers that you need energy that time. It will now go to the body where you have glycogen that insulin form. It will break the glycogen down to glucose so that you start having energy. That is when the hunger will quench. Then another thing it does is that it prevents the body cells from absorbing excess glucose so that you have enough glucose in the blood cells. Now let's move on. Now we are going to abnormality due to the secretion of insulin. Sometimes I've seen a question, they said, which of the following is affected to somebody whose pancreas is surgically removed? Now, when somebody's pancreas is surgically removed, the answer to that question is that the metabolism of sugar will be affected. Now, here, when there is under-secretion of insulin, it now means that there will be nothing to reduce the amount of blood sugar. Then there will be accumulation of sugar in the bloodstream. And when that happens, the person will suffer from a condition called diabetes mellitus. There are two types of diabetes. We have diabetes mellitus, we have diabetes insipidus. Now, diabetes mellitus is only going to happen to somebody whose insulin is not secreted. That is why insulin injections have been provided for people that are diabetic. Now, what are the symptoms? I've seen a question, they say state 4 symptoms of diabetes mellitus. Number 1, dehydration. Now, when there is accumulation of sugar in the blood, the osmotic concentration of the blood rises, and this brings about absorption, osmosis. removal of water molecule from the region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So say the sugar, the blood is having a higher concentration called hypertonic concentration. Then the body that harbors water will continue to lose their water and the person becomes dehydrated and become thin. Another thing is frequent urination of sugary urine. Since there is accumulation of urine in the blood, excess of this urine now will be taken to the kidney to be part of the urine. So if the person finishes urinating now, when the person turns back looking at it, ants will come there. Ants that used to feed on sugar, they will come and be feeding on the urine. So because the urine is sugary. So, and another thing is weakness. Sugar is supposed to give you energy, but you are urinating the sugar, you will be weak, you will not have energy. And one painful thing is that when the person has wound, that part of the body will be amputated. It will not heal. Why? Now, you see, what will happen is that the body now cannot utilize energy cannot get energy from sugar again, because all the sugar has been urinated. So what will now happen is that the body will now shift to another thing that can give you energy, and that is your body tissue. So when there is any cut in your body, that cut will just be breaking down, decompose. So instead of the wound to heal, it will just be decaying, and it will lead to amputation of that part of the body. Then let's look at the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland, human beings have two kidneys. So you have the right kidney and the left kidney. On top of each of these kidneys, you have the adrenal gland. I'm going to show you the picture later. Now, this adrenal gland has two layers. You have the outer layer called adrenal cortex gland. You have the inner layer called adrenal medullary gland. Yes, I was marking wife one day. They asked one question, and that question requires us to mention adrenal medullary gland. And instruction came from WAEC that any student that just wrote adrenal gland, it did not say adrenal medulla, we should mark it wrong, because there is a particular hormone that will answer a particular question. So that hormone is coming from adrenal medulla. They say if a student just say adrenal gland, it should be marked wrong. If the student just say medulla, it should be marked wrong. The two should be combined together. So be very careful in this place. So the adrenal gland has two layers. The outer layer is called adrenal cortex gland, while the inner layer is called adrenal medullary gland. Now let's pick them one by one. Let's talk about the adrenal cortex gland. Look at what I'm saying here. So this outer layer now that is yellowish, this is the adrenal cortex, while the inner part is the adrenal medullary gland, and this is the kidney. On top of it you have the adrenal gland. Now let's talk about the adrenal cortex gland. The adrenal cortex gland releases two hormones. These two hormones are steroid hormones. Steroid hormone in the sense that, like adrenocorticotrophic hormone, they have parhydroxychloropentanophenyltrin backbone, a kind of hydrocarbon cyclic structure like adrenocorticotrophic hormone. But these two hormones, they are never secreted until adrenocorticotrophic hormone is secreted by adrenal pituitary gland, anterior pituitary gland. Don't forget I said it. Pituitary gland is called master gland because its activity influences the activity of other endocrine glands of the body. So when adrenocorticotrophic hormone is secreted, then the two hormones of the adrenal cortex glands will be secreted. What are these two hormones? The first one is called glucocorticoid, while the other one is called mineralocorticoid. Now let's look at the effect, the function of these. Now glucocorticoid, like the name implies, glucose. Now they make the body to get energy from non-energy giving food. You will see that we feed on carbohydrates, we feed on protein, we feed on fat and oil, and when we eat beans that will not give us carbohydrates, we still get energy. What is making it to happen is glucocorticoid. Now let's go to mineralocorticoid. The function of mineralocorticoid is that it brings about the reabsorption of minerals by the kidney tubules. Don't forget when I was talking about antidiuretic hormone in those days, I told you the function of the kidney is to do what? To purify the blood. Purify the blood in the sense that remove impurities and turn the impurity to urine, send it out of the body, then send pure blood to the bloodstream. Then the blood vessel that takes impure blood to the kidney is called renal artery. So what is entering into the kidney? It now contains white blood cell, red blood cell, platelet, water, plasma proteins, mineral salts, vitamins, and you have urea. Urea is an essential part of urine. So you see what is present inside the blood that is going to the kidney contains what is good for the body and what is bad for the body. Now, by the time all of them get to the kidney, there is a portion of the nephron in the kidney called the Bowman capsule, where they will reach. This impure blood will get to the Bowman capsule inside a net. That net is called glomerulus. When they get to the glomerulus, ultrafiltration will take place. The blood will be filtered. Then when the blood is filtered, what comes out, you now see that there is certain part of the blood that can pass through the tiny pores of the filter. Those ones are called glomerular filtrate. This glomerular filtrate contains white blood cell, red blood cell, platelet, water, mineral salt, vitamins. Those ones that are good. The only thing that will not filter out is white blood cell, red blood cell, and platelet, as well as plasma proteins. They are the only ones that are not part of glomerular filtrate. So they will remain inside the glomerulus. While the remaining part, they form the glomerular filtrate and they are going. As they are going, they occupy the capsular space. They will get to the mammalian body of the nephron. From the mammalian body, they pass through the proximal convoluted tubule. They go to the Henle's loop. From there, they go to the distal convoluted tubule. From there, they go to the collecting duct. From the collecting duct, they go to the pyramid. From the pyramid, they go to the pelvis. From the pelvis, they go to the ureter. From the ureter, they go to the urinary bladder. And when they get to the urinary bladder, they form urine. Those ones that are good and those ones that are bad, they are excreted in form of urine. But in order for you not to excrete minerals like amino acid from protein digestion, glucose from carbohydrate digestion, vitamins and mineral salts, there will be mineral cortisol will be secreted so that those minerals, they will be transported away from what want to form urine and they return back to the bloodstream, so that they will push the kidney through the renal vein and you don't lose any mineral. So the function of mineralocortisoid is to bring about reabsorption of minerals by the kidney tubules. Let's look at adrenal medullary gland. Now, adrenal medullary gland releases two hormones. These two hormones are adrenaline and noradrenaline. Now, in some advanced biology textbook like Cambridge Biological Sciences, then you see adrenaline can also be called epinephrine. In some biochemistry textbook like APA, like Leninger Principle of Biochemistry, they will call it epinephrine. Then noradrenaline can also be called norepinephrine. These two hormones, they work antagonistically to prepare the body against emergency. And these two hormones are called fight and flight hormones. They are called fight and flight hormones. What will they do? When your body is in a relaxed condition, by the time you do nervous system, there is one part of motor system that we call sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. One of them is controlling the secretion of adrenaline, while the other one is controlling the secretion of noradrenaline. Now, what am I saying? When your body is in a relaxed condition and there is emergency, your body cannot face it. For example, you have seen cases where you are in upstairs in a story building and there is a fire outbreak. You will discover that you will jump down. You will let it be 10-story building. You will jump down harmlessly and nothing will happen to you. What you cannot do before, ordinarily, adrenaline will prepare your body against emergency and you begin to do that. You see, when accident happens, some people will stand up and start running and people start chasing them, they hold them because they don't know what they are doing. That time they are more energetic than necessary. That is what we are talking about. When you are sexually stimulated, when you are a man, you want to see a woman, what happened? Adrenaline will be secreted to make your blood vessel to be constricted, to come together. It will just be as if you have a pipe in a car wash and you hold that pipe at the middle. What happens to the water splashing? The rate at which the water be rushing will be high. The same thing will happen when you want to have a sexual intercourse. Adrenaline will be secreted to prepare your body against that emergency and your blood vessel will become constricted. Then your blood will now continue to flow in a very faster mode. Then what happens? This fast flowing blood now rushes into the erectile muscles of the penis and the penis becomes turgid. Then you become sexually stimulated. So adrenaline prepares your body against emergency. Then after the emergency, noradrenaline returns you back. So that these are these two hormones. That's why they are called emergency hormone. They are called fight and flight hormone. They make you to know whom you can fight and beat, and they make you to know whom you cannot fight, and they prepare you to run away. The kind of run you cannot run. Ordinarily you can run when you see lion, because you will know. Adrenaline will make you to know you can. This is lion, you cannot fight. then it gives you, it prepares your muscle to run the kind of race you have not run before in your life, to run for your dear life. So they prepare your body against emergency. So to gonadal hormones, the hormones of the gonads. Gonads are gamete producing organs. In male we have the testes, in females we have the ovary. The gonads are not, they are also dual organs. Like in the case of the testes produces sperm and it also produces hormones. Don't forget, I told you before, I've shown you the longitudinal section. I'm still going to show you the longitudinal section of the testes. Now in the testes, you will see where sperms are produced. This is called seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. These are where sperms are produced. But the children, look at this blue line. They are called interstitial cells. This is where hormones are produced. You see, these sperms, when they are produced, they are collected from here. They go to the vasa efferentials inside the epididymis, and when they get mature, they live through the sperm ducts. Now, because of the sperm ducts, testis is a duct gland. Because the sperms that are produced from it, they pass through a duct. Duct means a passage to their target organ, to the penis. But in terms of hormones are produced in the interstitial cells. There is no duct, there is no cylindrical passage that they will pass. They will rather mix with blood. Therefore, in terms of hormonal secretion, testis is a ductless gland. There is no duct. So because it can act as a duct gland as well as a ductless gland, it is known as a dual organ. The same thing as ovary. This interstitial cells produces an hormone called testosterone. And what is the function of this testosterone? The function of the testosterone is to bring about the development of secondary sexual characters in male, like all those signs of puberty, like development of facial hair. You start having baby hair at adolescent stage. Development of facial hair, growth of the armpit hair. In your armpit you start having hair. Then you have sperm production. Then you have widening of the chest. You have development of deep voice. Your voice becomes deeper. You are now a bass singer. Then the growth of pubic hair in the private part, you begin to have hair. Then face pimples, you start having, your skin becomes softer, then you start having pimples. Sexual urge, you now start chasing ladies and toasting them. Things you cannot do, the kind of boldness you don't have before, you now start having them towards the opposite sex. Now let's talk about the female gonadal hormones. Unlike male, that you have testosterone alone, in female you have two hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. There is something I've included in the note. The secretion of these gonadal hormones is aided by the secretion of a gonadotropin, which is usually known as the follicle stimulating hormone. So when follicle stimulating hormone is secreted in male, testosterone will be released, and in female, estrogen and progesterone will be released. Now let's look at a picture. Now look at this picture. Inside the ovary, you have egg cells that are yet to develop. These egg cells are called primary oocytes. These primary oocytes, they are surrounded by these blue cells, which are called granular cells, that will be providing food for this cell. So at that time, the combination of these granular cells and these cells is called follicle. There is a difference between follicle and Graafian follicle. Now follicle will be formed after some time. This primary follicle, which is known as follicle, develops into the secondary oocyte. So this is secondary oocyte. So this secondary oocyte, now this follicle is now transformed into what we call Graafian follicle. What's the difference between this and this? Now the inside of this follicle are been filled with a fluid, and the egg, which is the primary oocyte, have now been converted to secondary oocyte and be pushed to one corner. So then you now call this whole thing now Graafian follicle. Then there is a gonadotropin called follicle stimulating hormone. That follicle stimulating hormone will cause the surface of this Graafian follicle to rupture. To rupture means to squeeze and to tear. So when it tears, the egg will now come out. So that is ovulation. So we will not say that ovulation is the release of egg from the ovary to the oviduct. In female, follicle stimulating hormone brings about the release of egg through a process called ovulation by bringing about the rupture of the Graafian follicle. That is why it gets its name. Follicle stimulating hormone. It stimulates the follicle to tear. Then the egg is released. Then after the egg has been released, I want to say something here. After the egg has been released, the remaining thing here, they will now come together. They will clump together to form this yellow solid, and this yellow solid is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum will now form another endocrine gland that will now release progesterone and estrogen. Now, what is the function of estrogen? Estrogen brings about the development of secondary sexual characters in female, like making their voice to become thin, making them to develop mammary gland at adolescent stage. They start carrying out menstruation. They have pimples in their faces. Their pelvic girdle, their hips now become bigger than before. They have armpit hair. They have pubic hair in their private part. They have sexual urge. So now they start, some of them that are worldly, they now start having boyfriends. They will not be rude at home. They are no longer respectful. The normal assignment to give to them, they do joyfully. They can no longer do it. That is sexual urge. Now let's look at progesterone. Now progesterone is function. It performs two function. You will see it is when a woman is pregnant, she stops menstruating. It is because progesterone is released. Progesterone, don't forget what causes menstruation. When ovulation takes place and the egg is released to the oviduct, the egg stays there for 2 or 3 days waiting for sperm to fertilize it, and if it doesn't see sperm, it dies. It continues to break down. Then if the blood from the breakdown of extrauterine endometrium in the uterus, all of them start breaking down and they start washing down until the 28th day, when they now wash down as menstruation. You know, it is smelly because it contains the dead body of the egg cell that is already decaying. Now when fertilization takes place down, progesterone will be released to disallow another egg from being released. And when there is no another egg until the mother gives birth, and after breastfeeding has stopped, that's when progesterone secretion will stop and another egg can be released. So but during the process of pregnancy, progesterone will be released to stop ovulation. They will not menstruate and there will be no menstruation. Then that is why pregnant women don't menstruate. But they use this progesterone as contraceptive pills to control childbirth. Some people, they take it as pills. So some ladies now, when they want to, every day they be taking progesterone, they be taking it, swallowing it every day, and for the period of time they take it, they will not see menstruation, and when they have sexual intercourse, they will not be pregnant. So because progesterone has stopped egg release, there will be no egg that sperm will fertilize. So that is it. Then another thing it does is that it brings about thickening of extrauterine endometrium. I told you that the lining of the womb is extrauterine endometrium. It must be thickened for it to accept the baby. Some women, they have undersecretion of progesterone. That is why they are barren. Their extrauterine endometrium will not be thickened, so it cannot receive child. So that is that. Now what they do in the hospital, they give them progesterone injection. So then it brings about thickening of extrauterine endometrium. Then there are some abnormal cases. Let's look at the effect of abnormality due to the secretion or effect of undersecretion of progesterone. There are some abnormal cases. Some people in Yoruba land, where I come from, some pregnant women, they will see this change their menstruation. They will give birth. Any child, such a child that is giving birth to in Yoruba land, that their mother will still see the same menstruation, such a child is called Ilori in Yoruba. It is what is happening to those kind of people is that progesterone is undersecreted and nothing to stop ovulation. So when they are pregnant, another egg will be released. So it can cause menstruation of pregnant women. Another thing that can happen, it can make you to have fraternal twins, non-identical twins. Non-identical twins in the sense that when a child has been implanted in the womb, another egg is also released. So if that woman sees her husband again, another sperm will come and fertilize the newly released egg, and another child will be planted in the womb, and they will share different placenta, and the two babies will look different, like a normal brother and sister. So that is why I used to tell my students that it is possible for you to give birth to twins in which the two of them belong to two different fathers. Yes. If that mother knows another man, the sperm of another man will fertilize another baby, then she will be carrying the baby of a real father and the baby of a bastard. He will be carrying a bastard. So it is possible. All these are due to progesterone failure. So now, then another one, abortion can happen due to inability for implantation to take place, due to inability of extrauterine endometrium to be thickened. Then a lot of things called abortion. They cause abortion. You now begin to have. Then what are the effects of oversecretion? So the first one, menstrual irregularity. Some people, they can use 2 months, they can menstruate for 2 months instead of normally it's supposed to be every 28 days, once in a month. They do it twice. They some 3 months, 4 months, they have not seen their menstruation. Some will see, so there will be irregularity because at each of the menstrual cycle, one egg is permitted to be released. But when there is over secretion, another egg, 2 or 3 eggs. When you are finishing one menstruation, another egg is released to make you have another menstruation. Then there is irregularity and there is infertility due to prolonged absence of ovulation. So we are going to end this class here. So in the next class, we will find something else to do. So but before I go, I lay you in the hand of God. Stay blessed till we meet again. God bless you.